Imagine standing in a room full of people arguing. Everyone is shouting over each other, desperate to be heard. But in the corner, one person stays completely silent, not out of fear, but because they understand something the rest don't. That silence is unsettling, powerful, controlled. They know what most people don't, that silence, when deliberate, is not weakness, it's a form of dominance. Not because they lack things to say, but because they understand that not everything deserves a response. In a world obsessed with expression, silence is an act of rebellion. We're taught to believe that the one who argues best wins, that cleverness conquers, that every challenge demands a rebuttal. But history and philosophy tell a different story. Friedrich Nietzsche, that razor-sharp observer of the human soul, didn't just examine what people say, he studied what they withhold. To him, the truly powerful individual doesn't need applause or consensus. They've outgrown it. They're not looking for a crowd to agree. They're walking their own path, and they don't stop to explain why. He wrote of the will to power, but not the cartoon version where power is dominance over others. He meant something more intimate, the power to shape oneself, to master impulses, ego, and the need to be right. That's the rarest kind of strength, and sometimes the purest expression of that strength is silence. But silence isn't passive, it's a force. It disturbs people because most can't sit with it. They panic, scramble to fill the air. They mistake words for control. The silent person, they're already 3 steps ahead. They're not wasting energy explaining themselves to people who've already made up their minds. They know, convincing someone who doesn't want to understand you is like shouting into a void. That's not wisdom, that's ego. And ego is loud, but clarity is quiet. Centuries before Nietzsche, a man walked the streets of Athens and questioned everything. Socrates. He didn't lecture, he asked. He'd make people confront their own ignorance using nothing but questions. His enemies couldn't beat him in debate, so they silenced him forever. Even then, his defense was elegant, restrained. No begging, no drama, just calm defiance. He drank the poison not as a victim but as someone who knew truth didn't die with the body. And centuries after Nietzsche, in a different culture entirely, a warrior moved in silence, Miyamoto Musashi. A man of steel and strategy, he won battles not just with his sword but with psychological stillness. He would show up late to duels not out of disrespect, but to unnerve. He knew fear grows in silence, the unknown fills the gaps, and when the moment came he struck not with rage, but with focus. No speeches, no theatrics, just precision. He once said, "Perception is strong and sight is weak. In strategy, it is important to see distant things as if they were close, and to take a distanced view of close things. In other words, detach, observe. Don't let your emotions decide for you." That's what silence does. It creates space between stimulus and response. It's not suppression, it's mastery. Think about the last time someone said something disrespectful to you. Your instinct was probably to fire back, prove them wrong, defend yourself. But what if you didn't? What if you just looked at them, calm, unmoved, let them exhaust themselves while you remain untouchable? Not everything requires an answer. Not every accusation deserves your energy. When you react to every poke, you're not in control, they are. But when you can hold silence, let it settle, and choose your moment with care, that's power, the kind of power no one can give you, and no one can take. It's not that words are useless, they're just not the first weapon. The first is presence, intention, and if needed, silence that cuts sharper than speech ever could. So the next time you're tempted to argue, to prove, to justify, ask yourself, is this for truth or is this for ego? Because if you truly know who you are, you won't need the world to agree. You'll sit in your silence, not as a retreat but as a throne. And that is when silence stops being empty and becomes full of power.